Hey guys, it's Typical Chess Player, and I'm back with another video on notation. So notation is basically how you can record a game that you play, and then you'd be able to look back on it later. And so basically notation is like writing down each individual move that you and your opponent makes, so that you just have it on a piece of paper. So I'm just gonna start off with like the basic what letter corresponds to what piece. So notation basically works with the squares on the board. So if you'll notice, right, there's letters at the bottom of this board and there's numbers on this side. So just really simple, this square would be E. You see the E down here, and then there's a 4 over here. So 4. So this square would be E4. The letter always comes first. So it's not 4E, it's E4. And so I guess if you guys want to practice naming each square on the board, you could just, randomly point to a square and then try to like figure out what it is. But yeah, that's just an exercise. But today we're just going to be talking about how we use the pieces, the squares, to record the notation. So basically, my first move normally is pushing this pawn to e4. So notice how I said e4. So that's because the pawn is now on the e4 square. And for pawns, you don't actually have to write the letter. So for pawns, it's simply just writing the square that you're moving the pawn to. So for example, if I move my pawn, if black moves his pawn like this, it would be, I don't know if you can see this, but this is an F, right? So F6. So this square is F6. So simply in the notation, you can even see it over here. So you notice that the first move was E4 and the second move was F6, right? And so for pawns, you simply just have to write the square that it goes to. Now, for all the other pieces, you actually have to write a letter before you write the square. So, for example, the bishop, right, is B. It's simply B. So B, whenever you write a piece, you write it capital. So on chess.com, right, you'll notice that they actually just put the bishop here. But instead, if you were writing it down, right, it would take a lot of time to draw out a bishop every time. So you would just write a capital B instead of this piece right here, and then C4. So your notation of this move would be B, C4. And now let's see the knight, right? The knight moves in an L shape, but it's the same thing, except instead of a B, you're going to put an N. It's not a K. I know that knight starts with a K, but since the king is K, the knight is N. So you write N C6 over here. And let's just continue by playing some moves, right? I'm just going to push this pawn, right? Now, if you want to pause, you can try to figure out what the square is, but this is actually h4, right? And then let's just say that black plays h6, and now if you move your rook, right, it's the same thing again, except it's r for rook, so you'd write r h3 for this square. But yeah, let's move on to the queen, right? I'm just gonna play another move like maybe this, right? The queen starts with a q, so if I move my queen to this square, let's say, right, it would be q f3. So you'll notice that this is f, this is 3, so this square would be f3, so queen f3. And then for the king is also kind of the same. It's whenever you move the king, it's just k and whatever square you move it to. So k d7. So this would be king or k d7. So that's basically the notation for an individual piece move. So now I'm going to talk about just some more symbols that can help, explain your notation better. So, for example, I'm going to talk about en passant. So I talked about en passant or A.P.A. in my last video, and it's basically when um, you find yourself with a pawn that is side by side with an opponent pawn that just moved 2 squares up as its starting move. So now what you'll do is this is basically the move, right? You're going to move here, and this piece is going to get captured. So basically, when you capture, right, all you do is you write the move just how you normally would, right? So I'm on e4, I mean e5 right now. My pawn right here is on e5. And what square is it going to? It's going to, this is an f, so f6, right? So this square is f6. And so basically all I would write is EXF6. So this is the only complicated part about capturing notation, just en passant. But for this move, I'm just going to play it so you guys can see it, right? You'll notice here that it says EXF6, right? So my pawn went to this square. All I did was write E and X. So for pawns, you just have to write the file that it started on. So this pawn started on the E file. This is the file. So it went from E to F6. So all you do is E and then an X and F6. And then the rest of it's pretty simple, right? So for all the other pieces, I'm just going to do this, right? So this would be EX D5 because started on E, finished on D5. And now if the queen took, right, it would just be Q X D5 as you can see over here. So if I'm going a little too fast, you guys could just keep looking at this area right here. It'll just show all the moves. Just remember that you're not going to draw a queen, you're just going to write Q. And I'm just going to develop a piece here. Let's say black brings his bishop over here. And then you play here, right? Let's just say black takes this now. So again, it's the same thing. B, capital B, because you're using the bishop, BX F3. So you took the piece on F3. So this is F3. So it's like kind of the same for everything else. So etc. But yeah, let's talk about castling. So castling is pretty cool. In notation, it's just a bunch of zeros, depending on which way you castle. So I'm just going to play out a regular game. Yeah. Let's get the bishops out. Okay. So now you'll notice that I will castle. And for castling, it's not going to be king to G1 or rook to F1. It's going to be 0, 0 or O, O. O dash O. You guys can see that over here. So when you're castling the king side, so that means from here to here, like you'll be moving your rook from here to here and your king from here to here. It's called king side castling because you're doing it on the king side. And for that, you'll only do 2 zeros. But now to show you what I mean, right? Let's just say, just gonna move a few more pieces. Yeah. So now I'm gonna show you guys if the black king castles queen side. So this is queen side, right? You'll see that there's 3 zeros, or 3 O's. So O dash O dash O. So just remember for kingside castling, 2 O's, and then for queenside castling, 3 O's. Yeah, that's kind of the basics of notation. I'm just gonna cover one more thing, which is pretty important. That's checking. So if you were to check someone, I covered how to check in my last video. But yeah, I'm just gonna cover how to write that down. Oh man, I keep playing black. Okay, so right here, again, and let's just say black moves his bishop here. So now you'll notice that my bishop can capture this pawn. So let's just say I do it. So first off, you should know that bishop x, this is a b, bx, and then whatever this square was. So this is f and 7, right? So this is f7. So as you notice here, bx f7, but you'll see that there's also a plus here. So whenever you're checking the king, you write a plus, or if your opponent is checking you, you would write a plus. So now I'm just gonna reset the board. You guys got how to check. You just have to write a plus whenever you check your opponent. And then the last thing, I'm gonna bring back a checkmate from I think my last video. So again, this checkmate with the queen, right? This is a 2-move checkmate. So it is the fastest checkmate in chess. But now you'll see my queen went from here all the way over here. And this is h4. So my queen went to h4. But now you notice that the queen is checking the king, right? Because it's in the line of attack. But there's no plus here. That's because you checkmated your opponent. When you checkmate, you simply write the number sign on your board. Or the hashtag sign. But yeah, it's literally just the 2 lines up and down and then the 2 lines side to side. You'll see it if you're watching this video on a computer. It's the 3 key, so the number 3, and you'll notice a symbol above it. It's just that symbol. But yeah, those are the basic symbols, and that's basically all you need to know about notation. So after watching this, I hope you guys can record a game after playing with an opponent, maybe your friend or someone, but you can write it down, and then maybe some other time you can play out the moves and see how the game went. So obviously notation is more for higher level players who are looking to analyze their game and see where they made mistakes so that they can learn and do better next time. But I definitely suggest you guys, learn how to notate, practice, obviously, and then try to get better at it. And I'm sure that in some time you guys will be able to notate your very first game. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I'll be coming out with another video soon. So just, yeah, keep on the lookout for that. And I'll see you guys in the next video.